Nothing makes a movie like a drink. Unfortunately, in order to make the drink, it costs like $9 or something at the movies. And I don't know what it is with the hot dogs. Maybe they're charging by the minute it takes to make them. But anyway, I'm getting better. Before I even talk about the shitty movie I just watched, it's called Creepshow 2. The whole idea of Creepshow 2 just doesn't seem right somehow. I mean, Creepshow is a comic book, or it's supposed to be, or something like that, and instead we're looking at it like a movie now. It's Creepshow 2, Creepshow 3. It takes it kind of out of the comic book realm. Now it's just more kind of like a collection of small movies or something to that effect. And they're written by Stephen King. The screenplay is by George Romero. Don't let them fool you. In the trailer, they say Stephen King and George Romero bring you another terrifying comic book movie. And the thing is it's not in the same way. George Romero is not directing this. Directing it is some guy named Michael Gornick. And Michael's not as married to the comic book aesthetic as perhaps George Romero was. And we have fewer stories, too. We only have 3, which is kind of, that bums me out. And, you know, the thing is they're no longer than any of the stories in the first film, so the film just seems really fucking short. I would say that they make up for any lost time, perhaps, with the little vignettes in between the stories, because there's like a whole nother story going on, and it's a lot more complicated than the kid just sticking his dad with pins in the first movie. There's like a whole more complicated story with Venus flytraps and crap going on. So there's all sorts of things happening. Let's just go into it. It was made in 1987, and the movie finds us in a small town in Maine somewhere. And there's a truck coming down the road, and we got some spooky music. It's good atmosphere, but you know, the whole fact that the creep drives a truck is fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's stupid in comparison to the first film, because he just flew around in that film. He could fucking fly. And that's how he'd show up at your window. He'd pop out and he'd be like fucking flapping his wings. Get your fucking ass out here. Like, screw your dad. Fuck him. Jump out your window into my arms and I'm going to take you away into your nightmares. And that's kind of how it went, you know? And then he'd drop you back off the next morning. But this guy instead drives around in a fucking truck, and it's not even a cool truck. And he keeps all the comic books back there because he's the one who delivers them. He's like, yeah, no, I star in them and I bring them to your front door. I'm the milkman. Like, I make the milk and I deliver it. There's a kid following. His name is Billy. He, you know, stops right behind the truck, and the creep opens the back. And he's different looking in this film. He's not a skeleton anymore. He's something other than the creature on the theatrical poster, which they are indicating to as the creep. He's sitting at a movie theater, again, because this is more about a movie than it really is about comic books. And he's pointing down the aisles, and he's like, tear in the aisles! Woo! He's watching a spooky movie! But he's a skeleton, and now we're seeing some other dude. He doesn't look like a skeleton. He looks like a man with really pointy features of an off-putting nature. I don't know. He's sitting there looking through the books, and he sees the kid, and he's like, bah! Billy, Jesus fucking Christ. Hold your horses, damn it. They're still hot. They just came off the presses. Woo-hoo-hoo. Drops a package on the ground. He does this. I don't know what this is. He goes, ah! He just does something with his hands. What's he doing? He's like sending radio waves at it. And everything turns into a cartoon. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're going into the comic book thing. But again, this is a lot less comic book and a lot more like Saturday morning cartoons. It's the kind of animation we're looking at. It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the kid's looking and he's like, whoa, look, the comic book is a cartoon and I'm a cartoon too. And woo! He's all happy. And then the comic books unwrap themselves and little demon things come up and they're like, Creepshow 2! And we look through the comic and, I don't know, we see some panels, we hear some music. The music's good. It's not as good as the old music, but it's fine. It's different. It's a lot of synthesizers and people playing electric pianos and whatever, but I guess some of it's kind of spooky. Maybe. But it's entertaining. We get a great overture. Now, instead of going directly into a story, we instead have to go visit the creep. Because it turns out he's got his own house and his own setup, and he's doing shit. He's got, like, his own operation, and we gotta go hang out with him. He's like, yeah, you know what? Instead of going off into the world of comic books and into the graveyard or doing whatever, let's actually come on over and see what I'm doing in the kitchen. And he sits down, and he's, like, feeding an alligator pieces of meat. And it's just pun after pun after pun after pun about horror. Just pun, 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 pun. I'm getting punched by these things left and right. Pun, 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 pun. Oh, Jesus Christ, I get it. And he's talking and he goes, well, it's good that you're loyal to the gore. It's a link. The first story is called Old Chief Wardenhead. And if there was ever a bookend, man, this is it. This was thought up around Thanksgiving, maybe? It's based around a wooden Indian statue. And by the way, there's no wooden Indian statue in this vignette. Instead, it's a person pretty obviously done up to look like a wooden Indian, whatever that looks like. And he sits out on the porch of this ramshackle old shop in a town that's dried up. It's been sucked of all its life, and now it's nothing but dust and Indians. They're all drinking firewater, and none of them are working either. They're blaming us for everything that's wrong with them. And the only people still really living there is this guy and this girl, and they're running this shop that the Indian statue is on, and he's out there touching up the Indian statue with paint. And by the way, the people that run this store are called the Spruces. It's an elderly couple, and you can tell that they want friends. They just don't live where there are friends, and so they're talking to anything they can find. They're like, we never had children. Ooh, old Chief Woodenhead. What's an Injun without his war paint? This is pretty racist. There's a whole lot of backstory here. Like, this story is, I would say, maybe 80% setup. And they're talking, they're sitting on the porch, they're like, you know, I spent times when I was a kid bemoaning the world and wondering why things couldn't be different, and these days, I don't know, I thought Trump was gonna bring the town back to life, and I'm not sure this time. So anyway, they're sitting there, they're thinking about the town situation and how they fit into all this, and his wife's putting it in plain terms. She's like, listen, brass tacks, we are destitute, you don't sell things. She's like, the last time you had anyone who paid cash was 4 days ago, and the last time someone used a credit card was like 4 weeks ago. He's been giving shit away to Indians. They don't even need to fucking come rob the store. They just give it away to them. And one of the Indians stops by, and she's like, oh great, here's another one. The guy that comes walking up is Ben Whitemoon, or Whitehorse, or I think it's Whitemoon. How, Father Spruce? May I come in and talk to Mrs. Spruce? How you doing? Ben! I'm doing great, Babs. Listen, the tribe feels really guilty about taking all of your wares and all of your goods and shit like that. We're supposed to be better at this. We're supposed to be helping you out, showing you what roots to eat and what berries to pick, and we're supposed to be teaching you how to live off the land, and for some reason it's backwards. This is really embarrassing. So here, in order to cover our debts, I have this. Blue shells and beads and other knickknacks. It's wampum. It's for you. It's very sacred. You know, Mr. Spruce is looking at it and he's like, yeah, okay, listen, I'm gonna have to come clean. These actually aren't worth anything. Then he's being cool about it. He's like, take it back, I don't want it. And the Indian chief, he's just violated the laws of the Navajo. He's like, excuse me? You accept this graciously, or I'll sick my Indian spirits on you. And he turns to leave, and oh, and by the way, his wife comes forward and does this. I don't know why the hell she does this. Oh, Ben, before you leave, make sure to say how to the missus for me. And also, I was shit-talking you earlier to my husband here, talking about how you Injuns keep taking all of our things and sitting around being drunk on firewater, and you proved me wrong. And he's like, you know, you're the cool kind of white people, the kind that aren't constantly terrified of curses. So see y'all later. Ben comes out of the store, and he's about to, you know, just give a goodbye, and then he looks up, and he sees Chief Woodenhead. And the chief looks down at him like, hey, how's it going? You're an Injun too. And Ben looks a little surprised. He's like, and then he leaves. Old Chief Woodenhead is on their side. Remember, he was putting war paint on the chief's face. He likes him. So I'm a little curious as to exactly what the relationship is between this weird Indian statue and real Indians. There seems to be a disconnect here. So he's like, okay, there's some weird thing happening with the Indian statue. I don't want to be a part of that. I left my wampum with him. I don't think the statue is going to come after me. So they leave. The spruces are talking, and they're like, let's go back into our shop and hope that things get better. And they turn around, they walk in, and suddenly it's nighttime out. I don't know how that happened, but okay, now it's nighttime. And there's like three people in there. There's like three young people, and one of them is Sam, Ben's nephew. He's a bad seed. He's got long hair, and he thinks he's beautiful. They're trying to give him a backstory. They do this for like every character in this movie, and it never works out because they don't really commit to it. He likes his hair. He's a character who likes his hair, and he thinks it's going to make him famous. He's like, I've got beautiful hair, and I'm evil, and I'm stealing shit from you, even though you have nothing I really want. And we're trashing everywhere. And one of his cohorts is named Fat Stuff. He might have another name, but I don't recall. And he just sits there eating things. He's like shoving Snickers bars in his face. And the other guy is Kavanaugh. Kid you not. And what does he do? He makes an appearance drinking a beer. He comes out from the back and he cracks a beer open and drinks it. And the guy's like, Kavanaugh, what's going on? He's like, nothing, boss, just looking in the back. I mean, we've done everything. There's nothing else to take. We've punched Mr. Spruce in the spruce, and we've wrecked his shop. We've humiliated and emasculated him. Not really that he had any cojones to begin with. And I think we should leave. But Sam's no fool. He's like, nah, hold on. I know Ben left some wampum here earlier, and I fucking want it! That's $10,000 worth of shells and beads and shit, and I'm the only one that can sell that. He's got a gun, though. He's got a huge fucking shotgun. And these old people keep not following Sam's orders. And Sam is just some fucking crazy-looking dude who's got a shotgun who appeared out of nowhere and wants Indian wampum. And he's waving this gun around, and they're not obeying him for some reason. They're like, oh, Sam, you can't take the wampum. Those belong to your people. Don't touch my wife. And the guy just ends up shooting his wife. He blows her away, and then he shoots the other dude. She's on the warpath. Guys, there's no turning back now. That was the moment of truth. We're going to Hollywood. They all go walking outside. They got the wampum with them and whatever. And they take off, and old Chief Woodenhead is pissed. He's like, God damn it, he put war paint on me. Not even that Indian earlier seemed to understand, so fuck this. And he starts moving, he's like, Arr! He's doing it real slow for no reason. He's like, I'm a little stiff. Remember, I'm made out of wood. He does the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. I don't know what this is. He leans down, he sticks his fingers in red paint, and then he does little war paint thing like this. And then he goes, and we go to Fat Stuff. Fat Stuff is getting ready to meet up with Sam and Kavanaugh later so they can go down to Hollywood. He's supposed to be packing up his shit at his trailer. He's not really doing that. He's kind of just sitting there watching TV. There's no build up to anything. He's just sitting there eating a sandwich, and then a bunch of arrows pop through him, and we hear maybe some drums and shakers. Bum 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 bum. No! And so, okay, he's dead. We got rid of his character. Wonderful. We move on to Kavanaugh. He's sneaking out with his boom box and a duffel bag full of, I don't know what, amphetamines. And he gets into his garage and he sees his car has been smashed. And he's like, gosh dang it, Pop is really going to be, oh! And we see the Indian. He's got feathers in his hair and he's got a tomahawk. Yay! Fucking kills him. And I'm like, God damn, this is brutal. There's some Indian going around murdering white people. And then we go over to Sam's house, and Sam, again, is looking in the mirror, petting his pussy. He's like, my hair. Look at this hair. It's like that movie with that guy who has all that power because of his hair, and then a bitch cuts it off. I'm better looking than the guy in that movie. Oh, and by the way, he has his TV on too. There's TV playing at each of these murders. Some old black and white film. And I feel like this is an homage because we get close-ups of what's on the tube, but I don't know what movie we're watching. I don't know. I would just like more information on what's on the telly constantly in the background, because that seems like it might be important. Okay, well, I'm gonna go get in my car and pick up Fat Stuff and Kavanaugh. I hope he's not too drunk. Again, there's like no suspense to this. He's just in the doorway all of a sudden. He's like, hey, how's it going? I let myself in! And he starts shooting at him. He's like, you're not alive! I don't know. I mean, he walks in and comes at him with the tomahawk, so I guess he must be alive somehow. And the guy jumps into his bathroom. He's got the gun ready. Come in, motherfucker! Come on in! And then the chief sticks his hand in through the wall, like, next to him. He didn't see that coming. It's very, like, Blade Runner, and it grabs him, pulls his head through the wall, and then hacks off his hair. It scalps him. And the next morning, Ben wakes up. He lives out in a hut somewhere. He's in like a mud hut in the desert. Oh, my head. Oh. The wampum! What's it doing here? God damn it! Did he come into my house and fucking give it back? Motherfucker, I'm gonna make him fucking accept this. He goes down, so he goes back to the store, and he's all angry looking, and he gets out, and oh my god, there's old Chief Woodenhead, and he's holding a scalp, and he's got blood all over him. He just walks up to the front porch, assuming that the Indian statue is responsible for the scalp that it's holding. Immediately I'd be like, holy shit, Mr. Spruce cut off someone's hair and fucking stuck it on that Indian thing he's always doting over outside on his porch. I don't think anybody knows that the Spruces are dead. I don't think anybody knows that, because who would know that? They've only been dead a couple of hours, and they lived out in the middle of nowhere. And he gives him a little nod. He's like, Geronimo. And he says this, too. I don't know what this means. Now your soul can rest in peace, O chieftain. Wait, what? What's going on here? So this is some Indian chief's soul, and he has this whole story going on where he needed to rest in peace, but he needed this fucking excuse to make it happen. And that's the end of the story. Old Chief Woodenhead. And that's when we go back to the creep. He talks way too much. The creep in the first movie didn't talk, and I guess for the best, because he says stupid shit. He's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's just hitting you with puns and one-liners constantly. Not really saying much of anything. And also, again, we've got this weird cartoony thing. So we pop in and we're on a cartoon again. This is an ongoing story. Billy has headed on over to the post office, and he's picking up a package, and the dude's like, that'll cost $9. Jesus fucking Christ, Billy! What the fuck did you order? And the kid's like, I ordered it from Creepshow. It's a Venus flytrap bulb. They eat meat. Oh, poppycock. They probably screwed you over, Billy. Petunia bulbs or something. I don't know. He's like, oh no, Creepshow's a legit comic book. They wouldn't Jew me out of my Venus flytrap bulbs. Here's your money. And he turns and leaves, and then the fucking creep pops up somewhere. He pops out of like a little booth. Oh great, there's the creep. He's gonna say some more stupid shit to us. Well, it looks like old Chief Woodenhead didn't scare you, eh? Well, here's another yarn to unravel that I call The Raft. Now, The Raft is by far the best story in this film. It's so good, actually. It's a really good one. There's some issues as to execution, but the premise is nice. It's about a lake that is out in the woods somewhere, and there's a raft that's just kind of anchored to the bottom. And there's also like a large mass of weird, gross, skunky stuff kind of floating around in there, and it's kind of in a perfect circle, and it just kind of moves around, doesn't do a lot. And there's a car full of kids coming. It's got Randy, it's got Laverne, It's got two other people who end up dying really quick, so who cares what their names are. But they're all young. They all are full of life, and the creature in the pond is like, yum, 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 yum. It's getting hungry. There's like bubbles coming up. I hear them coming. And their car comes up to the beach, and they get out, and they're high. They've been smoking weed, and they're all going to school together because they're talking about like biology finals and things. They've left the radio on in the car because they're going to listen to that over on the beach while they're chilling out on the raft, fucking, or whatever they plan on doing. It's kind of a small raft, but they're going to do something. I'm just going to call him Bruce. He's like the main guy. He's tall. He's got blonde hair. He's probably a porn star or something. And he's like, hey, do you guys like my tiny Speedo? Woo, alrighty. I'm hitting the water. And he jumps in. And it's like 45 degrees or something. That's what he says. Ooh, jeepers, it's 45 degrees in here. And I'm thinking, how are you even talking if it's 45 degrees? You can't swim in 45 degree water, you die. So he's in there in 45 degree water, and it's not feeling good. Then I guess Randy has to jump out there too. Becky, or I don't know what her name is, but she's being all standoffish and distant about everything. And then, I don't know, Laverne says that she might not want to jump into the water. And she's like, well, this is my chance to outslut the slut. And so she jumps into the water and she's like, see, Randy, I'm crazy too. And they swim out to the raft and Randy freaks out kind of right off the bat about the big seaweed blob. I mean, it's gross, but get onto the raft, get on! It's the seaweed blob of doom! Dun 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 dun. It's drifting over. No proof that this thing is even alive at this point, but everyone needs to get on the dock immediately. So they get up there, and they're looking at it. And they're over-explaining everything, too. They're like, wow, if it came over here, it'll probably leave. But when's it gonna leave? When will that be, Randy? Whenever it's satisfied. Whenever the reason that it came here has been resolved. It's like, yes, okay, I get it. It's not going to leave until it gets what it wants. What does it even want? Can we focus on that? And then it eats Becky, or like reaches up and grabs her. She was poking at it with her fingers, and it eats her. And it looks real painful. It's not pretty looking. Not 100% clear on exactly what the procedure is, what the mechanism is that it actually uses to digest you, because it kind of seems like it's happening on the outside, but it also needs to suck you inside because you get goo on you and your skin starts melting and you get all bloody and then it sucks you into the goop and you're gone. Well, it might like spit your head out for a moment or something so your skull can scream or something at your friends and freak them out. It's like, I'm coming back for you! And it sucks it back under and goes back and they're like, oh my god, it ate Becky! And as they're kind of freaking out and shaking each other around and trying to figure out what's going on, you know, the big dude in the Speedo is like, you're the nerd. What is it? What is it? It comes under the raft and then it just sucks Bruce through the floorboards. It sucks him down. Again, it's like really painful looking. It grabs one of his legs, sucks it down, and then breaks his other leg upward like that and pulls him down completely. And he's gone. I don't know, at that point it's hopeless, right? I mean, if it can get you through the raft, then what the fuck? And Randy's dancing around like he's a fucking ballerina. He's trying to stay in between the cracks because they're lava. And Laverne has leapt up into his arms and is screaming and won't come down. And eventually he's like, Laverne, if you don't, like, just put your feet down and do what I tell you, I'm going to drop you, and then it's going to eat you! She freaks out some more, and and then the blob moves away. It's like, this can't be the rest of the story. This is too soon. So it moves off and kind of digests. Maybe it takes a poop or something. But it's like going to hang out near the raft and watch them with its non-existent eyeballs. It's just going to hang out. And they're like, woo! We're tired. They're really tired all of a sudden. We got to get to bed. We don't have any energy. It's so cold. And they take turns watching the blob. Not a lot going on. Laverne is freaked out by the blob. But honestly, I think the person she should not want to fall asleep on is Randy. Because she falls asleep, and I know Kavanaugh was in the last story, but Laverne was Bruce's girl, you know? He had Laverne. That's why he was cool. But now Bruce is gone, and it's just Randy, the pipsqueak. And she's asleep, and he's like, her boobs are unguarded and mine for the licking and the kissing. And so he lays her down and he starts pecking at her tits like a chicken. You would think he was a roadrunner and the coyote had dumped some seed on her chest. He's like, ah! And then he pulls her shirt back down, and again, aren't they tired and cold and whatever? But he was like, I was horny, and I'm glad that I did that. If we die, I wanted to make sure that I had, like, rubbed her thoroughly. And then the creature, like, reaches up again through the raft. They weren't paying attention. He was distracted. And it grabs her, and it starts eating her, and she's like, ah, Randy! He's, like, staring at her, like, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna grab her. And she's getting sucked off the dock. She's like, you son of a bitch! And he's like, well, at least now I can become a Supreme Court judge. He turns and jumps off the dock and swims away. The creature is chasing him. Again, it let Laverne stick her head up and burp some bubbles and spray some blood, and then it went back under. And it's chasing after him, and it's like, man, get back here! And he's swimming for the shore! And he gets to the shore, and he jumps out, and he's only like 2 inches away from the water. He's like, I beat you, mother... Whoa! Jumps on him, and then takes him back out. And the best thing, too, is that after all that is done, after the little, like, bump disappears, and we can tell it's digested him, we hear a burp. It burps. Oh, excuse me. It swims back out. So it burped. That was kind of funny. And the car, the music is still going. Continuity issue here, or maybe it's something I don't understand, but we heard the car music earlier, and then over the night it was off. Like, the sound cut out. There was nothing more coming from the car. And then we cut to morning, and then suddenly the music was playing again. So, did they shut off the radio station at a certain time? Maybe the battery died. Okay, yeah, the battery died. That's why it shut off that night. Why did it turn back on then? So we have this car with a radio that's kind of turning on and off whenever it chooses. And right now it's on because that's spooky and ironic. It's like they were planning on having a fun vacation and all their stuff is still out like they left it. But they're all dead, and the only thing that's left is the raft. The creature! And this, and they kind of tilt the camera around to a sign that says, no swimming! There's a blob creature! And that was the twist or something. That was the spooky twist ending. I thought the twist was that it could jump out of the water and eat you wherever you were. So then what's up with the no swimming sign? But whatever, okay. So they didn't see the no swimming sign. If only they had. Now, Billy, again, has his own thing going on. So we're going to watch another cartoon. He's riding on his bike around town. He's like, Then he runs into some bullies. Hey, man, what's going on? What's that you got there? A package? Kaboom! Aw, look what I did. I smashed it. And then Billy just, like, nails the kid in the nads. He's like, fuck you. Boom! Ooh! Ooh! And Billy flies off on his bike. And it sucks because his Venus flytrap bulbs have been decimated. They were crushed. But he got sweet revenge for the moment. The kid and his gang are now after him. They're going to beat him up or do something horrible to him. And because Billy is in allegiance with Satan or whatever, that he's protected by the aegis of darkness. Yeah, cool, guys, come at me. I've got the fucking creep, and he's going to kill all of you. He's not just into telling punny stories. He's into murder. And they fuck with him. And so he's going to go right around town. They're going to do some chase sequences. It's shit we don't need to see. And the creep pops up. Again, we're like, whoa, hey, kiddies. Hey, did you like the raft more than old Chief Woodenhead? Well, Billy knows his way around town. I think we've got some time for another nasty nugget of spookiness. And it's called The Hitchhiker. And I would say that old Chief Woodenhead was the worst story, if not for this one. This story is not a story. I don't know what this is. This is like free-flowing thought. Because I don't understand what's going on. Like, there's this character named Miss Lansing. She's the main character. She kind of has a Piper Laurie quality to her, and she's sleeping with some dude. She's got a gigolo, or she's a male prostitute, and he's working out of his house. It's got a sweet setup, I have to say. We find her sleeping in bed with him. My God, I'm a strong, independent woman, and you did a number on my vagina last night. Woo! 9 orgasms. And he wants extra for that. He's like, yeah, that's 4 more than I quoted you for. So, come on, where's the clams? You already got my clam. Or, yeah, well, there you go. Thank you. I enjoy being a whore. It's dignified. And they talk, they banter, they do some of this and that. Who's more dominant in the relationship? Who the fuck cares, really? You gotta remember, my husband, who I need to be getting home to, he's the one who's gonna buy you that Mercedes. My husband and your penis. See you later. It's like almost midnight. She's gotta get home to her tutor. They live in one of those ugly fucking tutor houses. And so she's in her Mercedes, she's driving back. She likes to talk to herself like she's Marion Crane. She's like, oh, Miss Lansing, what's your husband gonna say? What are you spending all this money on? Nearly $20,000 a month for orgasms he can't give me. Every time she's talking about something, she thinks of it in terms of numbers and money, which would be cool if I knew anything about her character. I know nothing about her character. She's just, I don't know, someone who's really concerned about money. She doesn't spend any money, so what's the point? We don't even really meet her husband. Yeah, no, he's gonna be mad if I missed. And there's gonna be money talk and spending issues. And then suddenly, hitchhiker! And, man, she just nails him right in the pills. Fucking knocks his guts all over the road. And she stops. Oh. Should I fucking pay the car an extra $50 for that? Oh no, I've committed murder! She freaks out. She hears someone coming, so she turns the lights off and drives away. She's like, it's not my fault that I snuck off or whatever. I'm not guilty in this. It was an accident. And she creeps out, and we get like a little cameo from Stephen King right here. He pops up like he does. He's Alfred Hitchcock, really. He's in a truck, and he gets out, and he's like, my God, some dude's been scattered all over the road. He's doing his weird Jim Carrey acting. Road flare. He's just acting stupid. So there, we've got our comic hillbilly relief. I don't know what this character is. This must have been like someone he knew when he was a kid or something. Come on, there's a dead dude. She's driving off, Miss Lansing. She's feeling bad. Oh, I don't know if I can live with it. I guess I'll just live with it until I feel like I can't anymore, and then I'll turn myself in. So she keeps driving. She's feeling fine. There's no big issue until the hitchhiker pops up. Ah! He pops up in the rearview mirror, and he just... Again, I wish I could say there was a story, but it's just a lot of and then. It's just the hitchhiker coming back to scare her. She's trying to drive home, and he'll pop up, jump on the car, and she'll knock him off the car and keep driving. She'll hit a tree or something, she'll swerve around. I can't be too specific. I mean, it's just the same thing kind of over and over again. She'll be driving through the woods, trying to get him off the hood by having branches smack into him, and she'll fire a gun at him, and then she'll get onto the other side, and she'll be like, oh, whew. Mrs. Lansing, what's your husband gonna say? A Mercedes? That'll be at least $27,000 for repairs. It'll look just... She'll turn and drive back into the woods, and it'll be like a total repeat, deja vu of what we were just doing. And yet somehow we think there'll be a different result. This is the true definition of insanity. The hitchhiker. And again, what's the story? She's being chased by a dead dude, and all he says, he keeps saying this over and over and over, thanks for the ride, lady. Thanks for the ride! And there are certain points where we need to count on her hitting him. Otherwise, it will sound stupid that he's said it so many times. Thanks for the ride! Thanks for the ride! Thanks for the ride! Ah! I didn't give you a ride! And so she's beating this guy, she's fucking him up, she's running over him, he's jumping on her. She's finding out that, trains, planes, and automobiles won't stop him. I mean, eventually she just runs him into a tree. She just slams into him a whole bunch of times and then knocks herself out. And she wakes up a little later. Oh, whew. That Ambien. Oh, I better check my Twitter. She's like, oh, wait a minute. I've ran into a tree. There's no hitchhiker. Well, it must have all been a dream. I have a concussion, I think. All disheveled looking. She drives out. She comes to the conclusion that it must have been a dream. That she must just have freaked out and hit her head or in an accident or something, which does not explain the fact that she's way out in the middle of nowhere, off the beaten path. And also, it doesn't explain the blood all over the car. Because even though there was no one on the tree that she had been ramming, there was still blood and guts everywhere. Like, oh, it must have been a dream. I'm just gonna... If I can't live with it, I'll turn myself in or whatever. In the meantime, I'll go home and have a Tom Collins. So she drives home, to get herself on her feet again. She'll have a drink, and she drives up into her house and drives the car into the garage, and this thing is smoking. And I'm like, she better not shut the garage door, because then we won't need the hitchhiker to end this story. But I guess who cares, because he pops up. He was riding on the car the whole time. No, I couldn't kill her while she was unconscious, because then she wouldn't learn her lesson. Whatever it was. You should have stayed around and taken responsibility for your actions. Or, and he jumps up on her, and at this point, he's kind of just a skeleton with some guts on him. I'm not even honestly sure what he can do to her. And he just kind of puts his face on hers and goes... He's kind of like whipping her with his elongated tongue. No! She's dead. And her husband comes home a little bit later. And he's like, my God, Martha! He runs over. Miss Lansing, what's... And she's in the front seat. And there's a big sign on her. It's the sign that the hitchhiker was holding. And it says Dover. He's freaked out because there's blood on her and she's not alive. But what does Dover mean? There's no way he's going to know what the fuck that means. Someone from Dover killed her! Or someone named Dover? Ben Dover? So that's it. And we go out. And I'm like, great, that was a waste of time. Or that was a way to round it out to 3. I mean, really, there was one good story. The other 2 seemed like ways of taking up time. But they were the main point of the movie. So the creep is back in his truck. Remember, we were just on a story about cars, so we're going to cut to him sitting in a car. It's like, hey, this is the car I drive, remember? And I'll see you all later. Until next time, try to stay scared. Oh, I almost forgot. It's Billy. He's coming this way. He's adjusting like his fucking side mirror. He's like, oh, I think I see him. He's coming this way with his friends. I think they're gonna die soon if I have my way. And okay, I gotta get out of here. So he drives off. And Billy takes the kids out into like a clearing in the woods. He leads them out somewhere. And then he stops and he's looking real confident. And the main kid gets off his bike and he's like, okay, I'm gonna put you in serious traction. It's time for a whomping. Eat death, motherfucker! And like this huge Venus flytrap comes up. It's like, and all the kids are like, they all get eaten. They all get murdered. Like, these Venus flytraps eat them and, like, rip them apart. And Billy is, I don't know, the flytraps like him. You didn't hurt us, or that was our kid, or something. I don't know. Venus flytraps! They eat meat! So, okay, the Venus flytraps, they ate him. And that's cool. That was one of the stories. Everyone always ends up ordering something out of this comic book that causes a bunch of hell. Now, we're going to bring it all around, We're going to take ourselves back to the beginning. We're going to come out of the comic book world that we entered when the creep threw the comics on the ground. Okay, so we're no longer in, again, like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode. We're back in reality. The creep is in the back of his truck. He's, I don't know, doing stuff with comics again. He's got work to do, but this time he's wearing his cape. and he starts throwing them, and he's hanging on to the someone else is driving it now. He has an assistant. He's making faces from the back of the truck. What is this? And it just drives off, and he's throwing them all over the road. And then that's it. We fade out. We get the credits, and we get to learn about the people in it. As if we care. There's no one in it we care about. That's the film. It's not good. I can see why they just stopped after that. I don't know. I mean, like, Stephen King wrote the stories, and I guess George Romero was involved. And the creep, by the way, was played by Tom Savini, who was a garbage collector in the first film. And he's not bad, but again, his character is dumb. It's loony. It seems like it's made for kids that are younger. I mean, you gotta remember that these EC comic books were made for kids, but they were also made for adults. They were kind of half and half. If you ever read one, like if anyone was talking to you, the reader, they'd be like, are you on your way to school or work? Or do you hate your boss or principal? Like, it was for adults and kids. This seems way, way more cartoonish and kid-oriented. Except for the woman who had to pay extra for her orgasms.